come, Ray. The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball.
Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win. Now the 2-1.
Line drive to the base hit. Just as they score the tying run. Green to the plate. And he is safe. Safe at the plate. The Braves go to the World Series.
Have reserved seats somewhere along one of the baselines that sat when they were children and cheered their heroes.
Gibson swings and a fly ball to deep right field. This is going to be a home run. Unbelievable!
A 3-run home run for Bucky Dent. The Yankees now lead it by a score of 3-2.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mazeroski has hit a 1-0 pitch over the left field fence at Ford Field to win the 1960 World Series.
They'll arrive at your door as innocent as children, longing for the past.
The Pope arrived at Yankee Stadium. As one enthusiastic announcer put it, he is standing on second base.
Reggie Jackson. Long drive right field. It is goodbye. Big World Series for Reggie. The Blue Jays are World Series champions as Joe Carter hits a 3-run home run.
Back to throw. There's a left back. It's going to be, I believe, the Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant.
The 0-1 pitch. A liner off Nagy's glove into center field. The Florida Marlins have won the World Series.
The memories will be so thick that I can brush them away from their faces.
The 1-0 delivery to Fisk. He swings, long drive, left field. If it stays fair, it's gone. Home run. The Red Sox win. And the series is...
Lolich fires. Ball is hit high in the air. This should be the series. Freehand waving everybody away in foul territory. Detroit wins.
Here's the pitch to Willie. There's a liner straight to Richardson. The ball game is over and the World Series is over. Willie McCovey hit it like a bullet. A line drive right
Baseball to mark the time.
The Oakland A's take. I'll tell you what, we haven't heard.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Candlestick Park for Game 3 of the 1989 World Series.
It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again.
Frank Robinson, the right-hand batter.
Long drive to left field. Way back. Just hits it back. Home run.
Base hit loaded, 1 out. Pena in a jam. The Twins are going to win the World Series. The Twins have won it.
Ozzie with 1 out. Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run. And the
Willie Mays just brought this crowd to its feet with a catch, which must have been an optical illusion to a lot of people.
This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again.
Broadcasted live.
Hey! Who wants to have some fun?
There are balls coming from all over the place. Left field, center field, right field. See, this is the kind of thing, quite honestly, right now, that makes you want to see the Chicago Cubs team lose.
Now, are you just saying you want to have fun, or do you really want to have fun?
It'll be fun.
Will the next person that sees anybody throw anything onto this field, point them out, or get them out of here? You don't live in Cleveland. You live in Cincinnati.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
That is the farthest thing in the universe from the truth.
Hello, everyone, live. It's the Dan Scott Show. And right there is your host, Dan Scott.
All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Thursday edition of the show. I am Dan Scott. Good to have you with us as we get things underway here. That is Forrest Stulting, and right in the middle of us is Furman offensive coordinator Drew Cronic. The Paladins get set to host ETSU on Saturday. It's the second home game of the year, second conference game of the year, and it's all SoCon play from now on. How are you, sir?
Oh, doing well, man. Hope you are too, Dan.
We've got 4 interviews on today's program, so we're going to be moving at warp speed. Hopefully you'll learn something, and we'll just kind of try to stay out of the way and let the guests do all the talking. But Drew Cronic now, Chad Staggs, defensive coordinator right behind him, Billy Davis, not Billy Brad Davis, as it says on the Facebook feed, and Doug Allison, who is
jam-packed today,
yeah,
Dan. I
who's
like
going to
it.
be dropping the answer to the trivia question on us. Anyway, Drew Cronic, how are you, sir?
Doing good. How are you guys?
We are okay, I think.
We got a pretty view up here.
Yes, we do. We do at that. Let's jump right into it because I know our time is kind of limited. Let's start by just getting your impression of where this offense is after 4 games right now, as opposed to maybe where you thought it would be coming into the season.
We're evolving, and I think some of the the base things we want to be able to do obviously was run the football, and show a lot of different formations and motions and different things to make you cover all the field, and then be a very good play action team, and be efficient in the passing game. And I think we've been able to do some of those things at times. If you look at us, we've been very balanced. PJ's done a good job throwing the football. We've had guys make plays in the passing game, and we've been able to run the ball up in there some. That's something we want to continue to improve. We need to be able to get those, get the rushing yards up there, because the better you're able to run the ball, the more that you're able to hit those play action passes. So I think the kids have adapted well. I think they're enjoying what we're doing. I think it lends itself to our practices. We're able to practice with some tempo and get a lot done in a short period of time. And I'm learning because we're doing a lot of things that I haven't done in the past. So it's been good for me, just growing. But I'm excited about it, and we'll continue. Hopefully we're a difficult team to prepare for because of the different things that we do and make you think a lot. We do a lot of the, most everything we do is out of the same personnel group. So you're not able to, we're able to get in different formations, run different plays, without substituting a whole lot, and hopefully we're a hard team to prepare for.
One of the things Clay mentioned, and it's just kind of my memory sparked when you said that you're learning.
Mm-hmm.
He mentioned to me last week and even the week before that it takes time for the coaching staff game situations to get where everybody's thinking the same thing.
Sure.
Because, and I think maybe the fans kind of take that for granted a little bit, but this is a staff that's never worked together before, so you don't exactly know what Clay may be thinking in a certain situation, but this time next year, maybe later, even this time this season, you will. How does that work? How does that dynamic work?
Well, I first of all, I really like our staff.
Yeah.
I think we work well together, and I think we're to have only been together for a short period of time like we have. I think it's moving forward, very well because. I'm starting to learn what Coach Hendricks likes to do in certain situations. I'm getting, good information from the booth up there from Coach Quarles and Coach Sims. And it's really a group effort. Calling plays is, everybody has a hand in that, and you do a lot of prep during the week for certain situations. What do we want to call the first, third, and medium? What do we want to call the first time? We want to take a deep shot or whatever it is. So, and then just having a feel during the game for what's going to be there, and that's a group effort. And like I said, I'm learning, with the things we're doing. What's the next thing? What if they're taking this away? What's the next thing you want to go to? And I think we're all getting more and more comfortable as we move forward, and that's exciting. I think it's been good. So hopefully, not only will the players continue to get better at what we're doing, but so will the coaches.
And before Forrest asks this question, I'm just thinking all this is still coming together. But what we've seen out of this offense through 4 games, we can see the potential of it. And if it's looked like this now, you can only imagine what it's going to look like in another year or 2 or 3.
Well, and one thing you got to realize too is defenses will, after they see us for a while, they'll also get better at it defending us, or understanding, what we're going to do. But I think you're right. I think the more familiar we get, our players get familiar, the coaches get familiar, and it continues to evolve and expand. Hopefully, we can be a top 10 offense in the country. That's what we really like to do. That's what our goal is.
Last week we saw Cam Burnett kind of have a big play, and then Devin Wynn's also done some good things on offense too. How have they kind of come along as freshmen?
Well, we're excited about those two kids. Very talented. Cam made some play, and Cam makes plays in practice. Cam is going to be a really, really good football player, and the more you see him, the more you want to try to get him the ball. He's a big, fast kid who's very intelligent, great kid, hard worker. And he has definitely added some things to the offense. Devin Wynn, same thing. He's learning and trying to get familiar with everything, but he can definitely run the ball and do some things. He actually catches the ball really well out of the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
So those guys, you're probably going to see those guys more and more as the season goes along as they get comfortable.
How big is it to kind of have 4 or even 5 running backs able to play at multiple positions back there in your triple option offense?
Well, it allows us to not have to substitute when a guy, like Darius Moorhead can split out, but it can also be a tailback.
Mm-hmm.
You can move him around, you can give him the ball different ways, and you don't have to substitute because a lot of defense coordinators make their calls based off of whatever personnel package you have in the game. Well, right now, for us, it's the same personnel package most of the time. So it just makes you more versatile and makes it tougher on a defense coordinator to get a beat on you.
This is Drew Cronic. He's the offensive coordinator here at Furman. One of the things that we have found out very quickly through the first 4 weeks is that young Thomas Gordon at that wing spot is a dangerous weapon.
Absolutely. And, Thomas can do a lot of things. And Thomas is I'll tell you what, he is a great practice player. He practices hard and works at it, and he's a quick twitch guy. We talk about twitch all the time, guys that can move around in space, make people miss. You see him on a reverse, make a guy miss, or you see him catch a ball down the field. He just really excited about him, and we're going to have him for a while. So he's another one of those guys. He and Darius both can line up all over the place and do a lot of the same things. Catch a pitch. Whatever we need him to do to try to get him the ball in space.
The other guy who I think we've seen a glimpse of the kind of weapon he can be, and I would imagine will be even more dangerous moving forward, and was an intriguing move of taking Andy Shumpert from the wide receiver spot and moving him into a tight end spot. He potentially presents a lot of matchup issues for opposing defenses.
He does. And Andy's a really smart kid, and he's taken to the blocking that comes with playing tight end very well. But he gives you a weapon that can attach, that he can split out. You've already seen him get behind NC State. He does a lot for you in the pass game because he can run, he's long, and he's so intelligent that you can ask him to play anywhere, and he can do it. So that was a real good move for us. We were able to do that and move some pieces around, and we got more athletic at that position when we did that.
I see Chad is kind of lurking about, and our 10-minute increments are moving kind of quickly. So final question for you quickly, just give us a little bit of a scouting report on ETSU.
Well, ETSU is obviously, I think this is I want to say it's their 3rd year playing competitively, since they started back up. And they look, they've played really good football. Defensively, I think it was Coach Taylor that's the defense coordinator. He has been in this league for a long time. He was at East Tennessee earlier when we used to play him, back before they gave up the program. He's been at Chattanooga, been a couple different places. They run the 50 defense there, the odd front, but they also give you some different looks and move to an even front. So they're very sound. They play hard, and they've improved every year. And they've really, that was a big win for them versus Mercer. And they had the Citadel. They had a lead on the Citadel late in the game, and so it'll be all we can stand. We've got to play well because they'll be fired up to play us. It's a big game for them too, and we've got to attack those guys. We got to make them play the whole field. We got to show them some different things, keep them off balance. But it should be a lot of fun Saturday because that is a very good opponent.
And got to get PJ to continue to kind of take the deep breath when necessary and hit open receivers, as we saw at Colgate. That really makes such a difference in this offense.
It does. When we are able to be efficient in the passing game, I think we can be special, because it becomes very difficult to defend us when you've got to defend all that stuff.
Yeah.
And PJ is a very talented young man and can make all the throws. And I give him a hard time. He's a little bit, I call him, John Wayne a little bit just because he sometimes you don't know what he might do, but he's really done well playing within the system. And I think he gets more and more comfortable every week, so I expect him to have a big game.
All right, well, listen, appreciate your time this morning. We'll interchange you for Chad and
sounds good,
and give him 10 minutes for rebuttal.
Yeah,
and
now
we'll
be
go
careful.
Off there.
He'll talk your ears off now, so
well,
y'all have to shut him down.
You didn't do such a bad job yourself there.
All right, thanks, guys.
That's Drew Cronic, the offensive coordinator here at Furman. We'll take a quick break, and I'll remind you as we do that the show is brought to you by our friends at the Atlanta Bread Company in Cherrydale Plaza. Please stop by and see them and thank them for their sponsorship of the show. Here's a little more about them as we head to break, and Chad Staggs joins us on the other side. The Atlanta Bread Company wants to make your dining experience as convenient as possible, especially if you're ordering takeout. Go online to atlantabreadcompany.com, place your order there, and pay for it too. Then, when you get to the restaurant at Cherrydale Point, you breeze right by the cash registers and go straight to the pickup counter where your food will be waiting. And speaking of food, try the new Shrimp Po' Boy, a delicious and surprisingly healthy addition to the already great menu. That's the Atlanta Bread Company, Cherrydale Point in Greenville.
Stuck in a state of falling behind? Struggling to keep up with your kids, finances, insurance? Then let State Farm agent Steve Borkland in Traveler's Rest help you simplify and get to a better state. Because with Steve handling your auto, home, and life insurance, you'll have more time for everything else. More money too, because adding State Farm policies could mean earning discounts worth up to 40%. That's money Steve can help you put towards a college savings plan. Call State Farm agent Steve Borkland today and get to a better state with State Farm.
All right. Welcome back to the show. We are moving at warp speed here right out of the gates this morning. Our thanks to Furman offensive coordinator Drew Cronic for joining us. And as I jokingly told both these guys, the next guy gets 10 minutes for rebuttal because he's on the other side of the ball. It is Chad Staggs, Furman's defensive coordinator, again, as we preview the ETSU game coming up. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. We're just grinding. Got all these young guys, trying to get them in the right spots, but it's been fun.
Well, what does it say about a true freshman making his first start who really doesn't have a complete grasp of everything that's going on, and he still goes out and gets 16 tackles, a tackle and a half for a loss on a quarterback sack, talking, of course, about Raynard Ellis?
Right. Yeah, it was, I guess, surprising to a lot of us. We went into the game thinking we're going to see a lot of different things than we ended up seeing. I don't know if it was structurally what we were trying to do and take away, but it ended up being a big game for him in terms of what they were trying to attack. And, right now, at times, he's just kind of playing football. He's not always in the right spots schematically and ends up making a play. So, we're working at bringing that part along to stay within the system. But, go, see ball, go hit ball. That's kind of what freshmen do, and so he did a good job at that. He's a good athlete that right now we're just trying to trim down some of the things that he's doing in terms of within the scheme, but to say go make some plays, he can do that.
Yeah, there was one play in particular, and I made the comment on it during the game at Colgate this past Saturday. That kind of goes to what you said: see ball, go hit ball, and it was watching him pursue from close to the near side hash all the way over almost to the other sideline, and make a tackle. Show good speed and was able to get side to side.
No doubt, and that's what we got out of both of those young linebackers. Is I think they're really good athletes, and so you make some plays like that, and there's times that you don't have a clue what they're doing, or they may not know what they're doing at times, but sometimes it just works out. And that's the crazy thing is coaches. Sometimes you want everybody in the exact right spot, but it never. In the game of football, it doesn't work that way sometimes. And, you don't want to make them robots. That's the big thing is, sometimes you tell them this is what's going to happen. It don't happen, and then they're expecting it, and they don't make a play. Well, they're so young right now, they don't know any different. And so
deer in the headlight, huh?
No doubt. And it was an impressive thing. I was happy for him, because he was a kid that didn't get a lot of reps, and And, he was frustrated because he wanted more reps, and he had a bunch of the older, that was one group that had some older guys, and it was good because he hung in there and kept working, and his time came up, and that's how the game of football works.
You got a lot of pressure on the quarterback this year, 11 sacks so far, and that was kind of a question mark going into the season. How they kind of impress you all on the defensive side of the ball?
Well, that was one of the big projects we wanted to work on through the spring because the 3-4 that we're in you don't have a lot of angles. So when you're head up on a guy, it's harder to pass rush. So you got to generate that with some pressures and stuff, and we're developing that, and that was, like I said, in the spring we realized we were not great at that at that point. So Coach Miller's worked really hard, extremely hard at that, and I think you're just seeing some of the work pay off a little bit. And the way the defense really structurally we want to work is we want to load the box and stop the run, and then when you get them into situations where they got to throw the ball, then you can get after them a little bit more by call, or they get the looks by the lineman or whatever it is. So I think what you saw in that game is we were able to stop the run, which is what they wanted to do, and then put it on a freshman quarterback, put it on him, and then Chris Washington's really came a long ways. I mean, he's a guy that in the spring, he probably wasn't even a starter coming out of spring at the bandit position. And that's one position you need to generate pass rush, in a 3-4, anybody structure. And he stayed, he was here all summer. He was a guy that has just worked his butt off. And I talked to him yesterday about it. And I was like, did you even go home any this summer? And he was here every day at every workout doing extra work.
That's awesome.
And, what you got to get a lot of these young guys to see what he's doing. And when you get a large amount of those guys, then the whole team is going to be better. And so that's one of the things I'm trying to get all of them to see.
We've talked before, whether it's a 3-man front or a 4-man front, if you can get pressure with those guys and then you're blitzing when you want to, as opposed to blitzing because you have to.
No doubt.
That is a whole different operation for a defensive coordinator.
No doubt. And you saw that was the opposite of Elon. I was having to call some stuff to generate some issues because they were so good on first down. We wasn't doing a good job. They were blowing us off the ball a little bit. And I was having to do more of that versus Elon, where I was getting to do it, or not even having to call it as much versus Colgate. So you're spot on. It's kind of nice when you get to come after them and you don't have to come after them, without a doubt.
How's the secondary played? I know Anor's been a big playmaker, and how they kind of come along.
That play that Akil punched out, like the Peanut Tillman deal where he punched it out, we actually worked that a lot, and he is by far the best one. He does it all the time in practice, and Coach Williams had actually made a comment a week or two ago that, he's going to get some of those this year because he does it all the time and works hard at it in practice, and that was, like a proud papa moment. That was unbelievable. You see the result of him working at it and attacking the football. That's one. I'm starting to see some of the things we've been preaching about Game 4. You start to see him a lot more enthusiasm, a lot more excitement, attacking the football, stripping at the ball every play. And I think that comes with knowing what you're doing. When you know what you're doing, and now you're playing instead of having to think about what you're doing, and you're not thinking about, okay, I'm just going to tackle the guy. We want to tackle him, but we want to tackle the football. And I think that was a play that showed. I think Akil's a great player. I think he's playing really well. Brian's playing really solid. Brian actually, going into last game, I told Brian, I said, this is, way it's fit and the way we schemed it, I really think you're going to have a big game. And I didn't think, the Strongs would have, and they probably didn't have as many tackles because of the way we were loading the box with Brian. And then they never attacked that side, which is what we expected as much. So he graded out. He did his job the whole game. He played really good. But he just wasn't as productive last game because they never ran it over there.
Sure.
Chad Staggs, defensive coordinator here at Furman, joining us on the program today. Billy Davis coming up next, and then Doug Allison, the Furman soccer coach, will join us in the final segment of the show. So ETSU is this week's opponent. We're finally back home for just a second time this year. And if the close loss to the Citadel wasn't enough to get people's attention, I think the upset of Mercer last week and coming back from a double-digit deficit in the fourth quarter definitely did get people's attention, especially certain defensive coordinator maybe.
Yeah. We faced a lot of these guys when when I was at Charleston, we played East TSU in 15, and that quarterback was just a redshirt freshman, or whatever he was then, and it's the same guy.
Henrik?
That's exactly right. And he's really good at escaping the pocket, and he's really good at keeping his eyes downfield and hurting people. And he did the same thing in 15 as a young guy. So this is an older team now than it was then. And, yes, looking at it before the season, a lot of people, fans might say, oh, yeah, we can beat them. Well, you don't know from year to year what's going to happen. And so they're a good, solid team. They're coached well. They're very aggressive. They play with a chip. They do all the things that good teams do. So, I don't. It wouldn't have took them beating Mercer or them to open our eyes, because when you pop on the video, but they're playing well. They're getting turnovers on defense. They're setting their offense up in the red zone. It's what they did to Citadel. It's what they did to Mercer, and it really helped them. So, we got to be better in that situation where we were 0 for 2 in Elon and under the turnovers. Unfortunately for offensively, we had them. But, that's what we do. We go in and we stop them. And just give us a yard is what I tell them. If we turn the ball over, just give us a yard to keep them out of the end zone. And we didn't do that. So we did a better job against Colgate, and we got to do a good job if that happens against ETSU.
Forgot to ask Drew this, and I'll ask you, and if it puts you on the spot, I apologize. But the turf here at Paladin Stadium has been a topic of a conversation for a long time. And the company Shaw came in, I think, a couple of weeks ago and spent just about a week here and did almost a complete refurb job on the turf. You guys practice on it occasionally, I know. Right. What's the difference like now as opposed to what it was at season's beginning?
It's a lot better in terms of it's not as spongy. There was so much black rubber on it that it was almost like your own sand. And then you go to Colgate, and it was worse than what ours was before they did it. It was almost on sand if you walked on it. It was very strange, because you expect a turf field to be a fast track. You expect it to be better than grass because you're getting better footing and it's a little harder. But we're excited about the new surface for sure, or the refurb of the new surface. And we want to use that to our advantage. We want to play with speed, and so we are excited about the new surface, and I think everybody is. And those black pellets are pain in your shoes too. You come out off the field after practice, and you had to dump them in the trash can. Now you don't have to do that.
Well,
so that's a plus.
I think Clay told me they took 300 fertilizer-sized bags of those black pellets out. So right now there are 300 bags of black pellets without a home. And fortunately, their home is no longer Paladin Stadium.
Well, Clay, it was really funny. He walked down to the field and came to the locker room. We hadn't been to the field yet. He said, those 300 bags of black pellets, I'm pretty sure they brought them up here to Colgate and threw them on their field. And so we know where they went.
Yeah. So maybe they do have a home.
Yeah. They went somewhere, because there were a bunch on that field. It was really soft. But maybe it was a little gamesmanship on their part, because they're more of a run team, maybe slow some people down. I don't know, but it was very spongy.
Well, that's what my color guy David Cobb played here. Marcus McMorris, our sideline guy, played here, and they both made that comment even before we went on the air with the pregame show. I think David termed it like trying to walk on oatmeal in some places. So,
it was. It's better, I guess, if you hit the ground and get tackled.
There you go.
A little soft. Education, it's an academic school, so they wanted to protect against concussions. I would assume that
like
would
those
be
foam pillows, they just absorb your body.
That's their story, and they're sticking to it.
Maybe so.
Chad, thank you, man.
Thanks.
That's Chad Staggs. Stay tuned. We'll be back after the break with Billy Davis on the other side. This is the Dan Scott Show.
Looking for a good lunch spot in the Travelers Rest area? The Cafe at Williams Hardware is your place. Williams Hardware has food for the whole family, from the famous Reuben to the barbecue chicken quesadilla and their daily lunch specials, which includes the award-winning BLT on pimento cheese with pepper jelly, served Tuesday to Thursday. Williams Hardware also serves breakfast on Saturdays from 8 to 11, perfect before Furman home game. And don't forget the gift shop, which offers items for anyone on your list. Go see your friends at the Cafe at Williams Hardware, 13 South Main Street in downtown TR. Full menu and operating hours at the Cafe at WilliamsHardware.com.
So you've got a busted phone or tablet screen. Time to get a new device? Nope. Time to give it CPR. CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale can repair almost any phone or tablet screen on the market and usually can do it same day. In fact, if you have an iPhone, the fix usually takes less than an hour. CPR Cell Phone Repair also can fix computers and gaming systems, both screens and hard drives. And they sell refurbished devices and new accessories. Stop by and see the new owner, Janet Culver, today, and check them out on Facebook. That's CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale, 864-282-9097. Give it CPR today. Okay. Can you do that?
Stuck in a state of falling behind? Struggling to keep up with your kids, finances, insurance? Then let State Farm agent Steve Borkland in Travelers Rest help you simplify and get to a better state. Because with Steve handling your auto, home, and life insurance, you'll have more time for everything else. More money, too, because adding State Farm policies could mean earning discounts worth up to 40%. That's money Steve can help you put towards a college savings plan. Call State Farm agent Steve Borkland today and get to a better state with State Farm.
Oh, man.
Need some oxygen mask up here, Dan?
How about that for a start to the program? Back-to-back interviews right out of the gate with Furman's two coordinators. So we get set for the game against ETSU this week. Dan Scott, that is Forrest Stulting. Quick word about Hall's Chop House, located in downtown Greenville. They are Greenville's steakhouse. The steak's phenomenal. They've got a menu across the board that you're going to love, and if it comes or when it comes time for Christmas parties or your corporate gathering, business meetings, private parties, whatever the case may be, they've got plenty of room and they've got plenty of food for you. It's a wonderful place. They have obviously the original Halls down in Charleston and now here in Greenville, downtown, conveniently located for you. Hall's Chop House, the Greenville Steakhouse, and thank them for joining us as a sponsor here on the program. All right, back to the celebrity guest line and welcoming in our good friend Billy Davis, the former Clemson standout and the retired U.S. Secret Service agent, now working with Samaritan's Purse and seeing a lot of things that I know he wished he did not have to see going on, not only in this country but other places after hurricanes and earthquakes and everything else. But here to talk to us maybe about that a little and some football and life, Billy Davis. How are you, sir? Let me turn your microphone up. Try it again. How are you, Billy?
Great, everybody. Thanks for having me on, Dan. How y'all doing?
Good. You have been, as I was saying on the intro earlier in the week, seeing some things that I know you wish you didn't have to see, right?
Yes, we were down in Antigua and Barbuda, especially Barbuda, earlier in the week with Samaritan's Purse, and of course Reverend Graham was down there, and just complete and utter devastation down there for those folks. So over the course of my 27-year Secret Service career, I saw a lot of bad things. That certainly ranks right up there with them. So they basically evacuated the entire island of about 16 to 1,900 people. That's all the total population of the island, but it literally looks like somebody dropped a bomb on it. So I'm not even sure where they're able to start, but the good folks from Samaritan's Purse are down there doing everything they can to help the folks out with water purifiers and tarps and food and trying to help them out as best they can. So it's going to be a long time. It'd probably be years before those folks actually get back up running to where they were before.
Yeah.
So but that's.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
When you're with us, obviously, sports-wise, we generally talk football, but I think we would be remiss with your background as a collegiate athlete if we didn't at least get your thoughts on the news of the last couple of days with what's gone on in the world of college basketball with the FBI and the charges and arrests and that 3-year investigation that has been, I would say, culminated, but it's apparently still ongoing because, as Forrest points out, one of Nike's leagues has now been served with a subpoena by federal investigators. So this thing continues to go on. Just as a former collegiate athlete and being around college athletes a lot now, what did you think when you saw that story?
No, I wasn't surprised, especially with basketball. I mean, when in the AAU circles and how things go. I mean, I'm almost obviously played, as everyone may or may not know in your audience, I played football and baseball at Clemson, and my roommate was Mike Epley, who played basketball. Of course, that was 4 decades ago. But I follow college basketball a great deal, and for instance, up here in the greater Northern Virginia, Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, of course, the University of Maryland is front and center as far as college athletics, and especially their basketball program, which was run by Gary Williams, who is in the College Basketball Hall of Fame, great basketball coach. One of the reasons he left the University of Maryland, and it was common knowledge in the area, that was he did not want to deal with the AAU people. He refused to get into it. He refused to get down in the sewer, basically, with those people. And I think sometimes the University of Maryland probably suffered because he wouldn't play that game. But I credit Gary Williams and the folks over there at Maryland didn't get into that. So at that level, you knew it was happening. And, when the Federal Bureau of Investigation gets involved, I can attest to it as obviously a former federal agent who conducted criminal investigations for the United States Secret Service and indicted people. Once you're indicted in front of a federal grand jury, which I've done to people, you're in a world of hurt. And there's about a 90% conviction rate of people that are indicted by a federal grand jury.
Yeah, it's what I told Forrest on the show yesterday, that if the feds are bringing these charges and holding news conferences about arrests that have either been made or are forthcoming, you know that the case is almost airtight. Because they don't do things like that.
No, I can attest to the fact, because I have conducted criminal investigations over the course of my 27-year career, where I put people in a federal penitentiary for a long time. And I've testified and presented my case first. And how that works is, as a federal agent, you conduct that investigation in concert with the U.S. Attorney's Office in whatever district you're in, where the investigation, or the vast majority of the investigation. And in this case, there were multiple federal jurisdictions or districts that were involved. And then you work with the United States Attorney's Office, who is the lead law enforcement officer in that district, and usually have an assistant U.S. attorney that works with you in these cases. And they're not going to do it. They're not going to indict people. They're just not going to happen. And when you present the case in front of a grand jury, that means and people hear it, and that's where the true bill comes out. And people go, well, what's going to happen? I said, what's going to happen is these people that have been indicted are going to be brought in, and they're going to give up names. And people, when they're faced with the possibility of going to a federal prison for an extended amount of time, they will roll on their brothers, their sisters, their cousins, because I've seen it happen. Because I've arrested people, and they've turned their brothers in. They've turned their cousins in. It goes on and on. So this is, as they say, is the tip of the iceberg of what's going to pop up. I mean, this is I can attest to the fact of more as a federal agent than I can as a college athlete of how this is going to work.
And are the federal sentencing guidelines still the same, that if you get a jail sentence in a federal offense, that you have to serve 85% of it before you're even eligible for parole?
That I don't know, Dan. I'm not up on that right now. I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
I haven't been involved.
I know that used to be the case.
Sure. Well, yeah, I have not been involved in a criminal investigation as a federal agent since about 2007.
Yeah.
So that was 10 years ago. Okay. All of my time from 2007 forward has been in protection, but I was involved in a lot of cases in Atlanta, Miami, Jacksonville, and that's the case. So I see those people, and I'm like, wow, if the Bureau's involved and they've already got these people indicted, they're in a world of hurt. And there's nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. It's not like the NCAA. I try to tell people the NCAA is a toothless tiger. They have no subpoena power. They have no wiretapping power. It's really, I don't even know what role they serve, to tell you the truth, because you see the things go on, whether it's at places like North Carolina, ad nauseum, and nothing really ever happens. But when you have the Federal Bureau of Investigation involved, now you're talking obviously a whole different level. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this thing and how many dominoes fall and how many people pop out of the weeds on this, because I've seen it happen before, and people are going to show their true colors very quickly.
Hey, Billy Forrest here. It seems to me that one of the easiest solutions here is just to get athletic apparels out of sponsoring colleges. And I know with the big bucks that brings in, it's going to be tough, but to me, that seems like the easiest solution to all these, at least one of the major problems in college or in college sports in general. Do you see that being changed at all in the landscape of that, and the NCAA kind of making stricter rules for colleges and athletic apparel is sponsoring them?
Yeah, well, that's a great idea. I mean, I never really even, I guess I thought about it first, but I mean, yeah, it's just gotten to the point where, between Nike and Adidas and Under Armour and so on and so forth down the line, the money that's involved, and then you sponsor to get the whole gist of it is you want these 5-star basketball players to sign on with you, and they do a one and done, and then you have them as NBA players, right? I mean, that's but yeah, if you get away from that, I mean, a place like Clemson or Florida State or South Carolina, they certainly can afford to buy their own apparel. Sure. They don't have to have it given to them. So you're exactly right. I mean, as much money as Clemson pulls in from their TV contracts and what they make, on a week-to-week basis just there in Death Valley, they can certainly afford to buy their own equipment. I know at one time everyone did, and then eventually this whole Nike, Under Armour, Adidas sponsorship thing is just gone through the roof. So
and it'll be interesting to see moving forward if that's even on the table. And as Forrest is asking the question and you're talking, I started to think back to probably somewhere in the mid 2000s and Billy, you may remember this, when a University of Kentucky football player was involved in an auto accident that killed another person, and they found out that he was driving drunk. And Kentucky made this big deal after that of saying they were severing their sponsorship with, I think it was Budweiser, and they were not going to accept any money from alcohol sponsorship anymore. And that lasted about 2, maybe 3 seasons. Wow. And very quietly, without any of the same fanfare, they started taking that money and that advertising, that sponsorship from Budweiser, Coors, whoever it was. So you kind of wonder and watch and see if this will be something that'll go along the same lines, because once that revenue stream starts coming in, it's hard to replace it.
Mm-hmm. So what do they say is the root of all evil?
The love of money.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And now we're seeing it. It's an ugly. I tell you, it's just an ugly world out there in a lot of ways. When you and like I said, I saw it as a federal agent, and you see what money does to people. And this is a perfect example. This is nothing about money. That's all it is. It's about cash flow, hiding money, paying people off, bribes, you name it. And all in the name of college, basketball, which is amazing to me. We've taken, a federal agency that's charged with a variety of things, but most importantly, protecting the United States of America against terrorism, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, among other things, and they're so down deep in the weeds in this, so you can see how important the Bureau thinks it is that they've taken this time and money and manpower to investigate this. So obviously it's something that's really serious, or the Bureau wouldn't be involved in it. Mm-hmm. Simple as that. And then it's interesting too. I'm sorry, but it's interesting too that the NCAA had no idea this investigation was going on.
Yeah,
none.
That was pretty impressive, I thought, on the FBI's part. But I asked Dave Glenn this yesterday, and I want to get your opinion on it too. Is that I know this has been going on for 30, 40, even 50 years, but I think since the one and done rule in college basketball, that's kind of heightened the sense of these apparel contractors and money managers kind of go after these younger athletes because they are only 18, 19 years old and they're not as experienced as they would be if they're a junior or senior heading into the NBA. And so how much do you think being the freshman going to the NBA has an impact on this huge scandal going on?
Well, I'm sure you and Dan probably think the same thing as I. Of course it does.
Yeah.
If these guys were, I'm sure you think the same way. Of course it does. If they were made, I don't know, baseball. You don't have this problem in baseball, do you?
No.
Does anybody have this problem in baseball? And baseball is you can become a professional baseball player right out of high school, and a lot of kids do. A lot of kids sign with a Clemson or a South Carolina, but what do they have to do? They have to do 3 years. And then they have the opportunity to go and play professional baseball.
If I can interject something very quickly,
sure.
I think it's important to point out that the NBA is culpable in this because the one and done is an NBA rule.
Sure.
It's not a
Exactly.
a college rule. That's the rule the
mean.
NBA has it.
That's what I mean. I mean, it's the NBA is certainly culpable, but the NBA, the basketball is an interesting. I love to watch college basketball, and I played basketball in high school and had the opportunity to play in college. It's a great sport, but you well know as well as I do the history behind the game. There's always been point shaving scandals. There's always this kind of the association, as they refer to it, always kind of shady. Just the associate, not college basketball itself, but the association, the NBA itself. There's a lot of stuff that goes on there that, and then, and you're right. It's the NBA that's come up with this one and done rule because it's, once again, what does it come down to? It all comes down to making money, getting the best people. And so, once again, that's what we're dealing with. So it's fascinating to me to sit and watch it.
I think one of the more intriguing things about this, if you want to put kind of a bit of sad comedy to this, is that all of a sudden at Louisville now, Bobby Petrino looks like the most upstanding citizen of the major of the major revenue producing sports.
Oh, I know. I was talking to the guys in the gym a couple of days ago. I said, "Can you imagine being a Louisville fan?" I mean, less than 2 weeks ago, College Game Day was at Louisville. They had Lamar Jackson, the returning Heisman Trophy winner. They were going to slay the defending national champion Clemson Tigers on the blackout night in Louisville. Lee Corso's picking them to win. You've got Patino sitting there in a Louisville basketball jersey. All is right with the world. Then Clemson wins, and then a little over a week later, this comes down. I mean, you talk about a range of emotions. Wow,
they're getting hit hard. There's no doubt about that. Just brick after brick.
Oof, man, that's tough stuff.
Well, Billy, we've got to run because we've got another interview coming in behind you, but I appreciate your unique perspective on this situation. I knew that being a federal agent, you would have some insight to it, and I think you even went beyond what I expected. This is a story that's not going away anytime soon, and that's that's sad.
I can promise you that.
It really is sad, wouldn't you think?
Oh, it's terribly sad because the victims are. Once again, it's the kids. It's the basketball players. It's the kids that are supposed to be student athletes, that are supposed to be enjoying the best time of their lives, and they don't know. And their parents, a lot of the folks, just like my folks when I was growing up, I didn't have anything growing. I mean, I had a love of my parents, but we didn't have anything really monetarily or materially. And so a lot of these kids don't. And they get pulled and pushed by all these corporate people and by these money guys and these AAU people, and it's really is very sad to see it come to this. But sometimes you got to hit rock bottom to get right back to the top, and I'm sure it'll correct itself like it always does. But it's going to be painful for a lot of people for a long time.
I would agree with you 100%, Billy. Thank you, man.
All right, buddy.
Hey, and by the way, check your
yes,
check your text message on the other phone. I sent you a little photo of something that people see occasionally now when you're on the air with us.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
All right, talk to you
Billy.
later.
Talk to you.
All right, that's Billy Davis, and we'll take a break. come back and should have Doug Allison in with us. Finally get the answer maybe to that trivia question.
Man.
That's on the other side as we continue in just a moment. The Atlanta Bread Company wants to make your dining experience as convenient as possible, especially if you're ordering takeout. Go online to atlantabreadcompany.com, place your order there, and pay for it too. Then, when you get to the restaurant at Cherrydale Point, you breeze right by the cash registers and go straight to the pickup counter where your food will be waiting. And speaking of food, try the new Shrimp Po' Boy, a delicious and surprisingly healthy addition to the already great menu. That's the Atlanta Bread Company, Cherrydale Point in Greenville.
Looking for a good lunch spot in the Travelers Rest area? The Cafe at Williams Hardware is your place. Williams Hardware has food for the whole family, from the famous Reuben to the barbecue chicken quesadilla and their daily lunch specials, which includes the award-winning BLT on pimento cheese with pepper jelly, served Tuesday to Thursday. Williams Hardware also serves breakfast on Saturdays from 8 to 11, perfect before Furman home game. And don't forget their gift shop, which offers items for anyone on your list. Go see your friends at the Cafe at Williams Hardware, 13 South Main Street in downtown TR. Full menu and operating hours at the Cafe at WilliamsHardware.com.
Say you've got a busted phone or tablet screen. Time to get a new device? Nope. Time to give it CPR. CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale can repair almost any phone or tablet screen on the market and usually can do it same day. In fact, if you have an iPhone, the fix usually takes less than an hour. CPO Cell Phone Repair also can fix computers and gaming systems, both screens and hard drives. And they sell refurbished devices and new accessories. Stop by and see the new owner, Janet Culver, today and check them out on Facebook. That's CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale, 864-282-9097. Give it CPR today. All right, 10:47, and we are back. Our thanks to Billy Davis for joining us. If you are just tuning in and missed the first 25 minutes of the show at breakneck speed right out of the gates, we had Furman offensive coordinator Drew Cronic and defensive coordinator Chad Staggs back-to-back. Those will be available. The entire show will be available for you to watch when it archives on Facebook Live, on Periscope, which of course is Twitter's platform, and on YouTube. And we'll also be playing the audio on the Campus FM over and over and over again, as we tend to do. It's pretty good stuff from Billy.
It was a lot of fun talking to him for sure. He knows a lot of things that most of us don't about in terms of the background of the FBI investigations. And such.
I just thought that was going to be a general statement.
Sure.
That he knows a lot of things.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
Don't forget about the Walk a Mile project. This is a organization that does missions work from a Christian church perspective. They spend a lot of their time, as I've told you, working in Guatemala, building houses for the homeless, finding clean drinking water sources, food sources. The other thing they do is they train and equip other individuals and organizations to do the same thing. You can find out more. You can see the website there on the screen, The WAM Project. That's WAM, thewhamproject.org. And as always, tell them you heard about him here on the show. We are waiting for Doug Allison, the men's soccer coach here at Furman, to come and join us. So while we're doing that, I know, Forrest, you worked very hard on your three things last night, only to be basically left in the green room.
Hey, that's fine, some really good interviews, so we'll take it.
Just give us a little snapshot. The college football picks.
Let's save for that.
We'll do tomorrow.
I agree for sure. Let's just get into stay with the topic of the NCAA basketball scandal. Rick Pitino has been put on unpaid leave, and he will get fired. His lawyer said he's effectively fired. In his statement, he said, AD Tom Jureks is on paid leave right now, and both of these persons will be determined. Their contract will be determined at a later date, either on or before October 18th, when the Board of Trustees meets again.
Yeah, and what Louisville's doing, I heard last night, they're following basically their school or their constitution, whatever their bylaws.
Sure. Yeah.
Following the protocol set, this is how they have to go about doing it.
And I know I read in Pitino's lawyer's statement that what they did to Pitino is against his contract, but we'll leave that for later. And there's
and you know why he's saying that. Because Patino's due a $44 million buyout.
Oh, there you go.
And
probably wants that cash.
If they try to go with the morals clause,
sure,
that's going to be the argument that they don't have to pay him.
Yep, no, I completely agree. And then they've also had 2 top 100 prospects decommit: Onferini, Simons, and Courtney Ramsey. 8 and 49 overall prospects next year, so they are just being depleted one day after the next. And he was actually just confirmed by ESPN that he was coach number 2 on the federal complaint by the FBI, so he will be indicted somehow. So there's a man of the hour right there. That's you.
Wait for him to get himself all set here. Are you good to go?
Yep.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Right out of practice.
Well,
how was it?
It was good. It's good. Got to get the guys to classes on time.
Which is good.
Yeah. So the professors don't lock the doors and keep them out.
They wouldn't do that, I'll tell you that much.
What, or first of all, I guess congratulations on getting back on the winning side of things.
Thank you. Yeah, it was nice to start the conference off like that. So get a nice shutout and a win. So crazy games lately.
Yeah, I mean, we talked last week about how well you've been playing defensively, and maybe we shouldn't bring up things like that anymore because the Gardner-Webb game is just completely off of the radar, man.
The whole thing was bizarre. Weirdest game I think I've been involved in a long time. So to be 3-0 down and come back to 3-3 emotionally is tough to do, and then go down again, then come back, and then have so many chances to win the game. And then they went on it was a bizarre mistake by one of our captains, and just I don't think that'll ever happen again. So, but they took their chances, and 5-4. The fans will be coming back. The neutrals, they love a lot of scoring. That's for sure. They want to make the goals bigger or get rid of the offsides, whatever they want to do. They've always said that. Well, there was 9 goals in that game. We've actually scored a lot of goals.
Yeah, I had an international soccer coach who was assistant at Clemson. This is going back to around 2000. Told me that he thought that Americans would accept soccer better, and I think obviously it's grown considerably since then. But his opinion was if goals were worth 7 points instead of 1, that might suit Americans better because you, instead of 2 to 1, you'd have 14 to 7.
Or 2 points for every shot, or 3 points for a shot, that kind of thing. No, you get 1 for 1. That's what you get.
I didn't say I agreed with him. I'm just telling you what he said.
No, okay. So he's not around anymore.
No, he was Colombian. I think he's
South Carolina.
Back. No, the country of
Colombia.
Yeah.
That game was also the Greg Griffin game, which I know added a little bit to the disappointment, but there's a bigger picture that we talked about. How did that go? How did that go with Gray's dad? Just
he came in and talked to the guys before the game, and which was good. And you do after the game, you're disappointed. Man, didn't sleep that night, but I mean, his loss is significantly worse than ours, and you kind of put things in perspective. You're like, you know what, we're not doing a bad thing as long as we're doing the right thing with the kids and sending the right message. We're doing the right thing, and his message to the kids was great. It was really, really good, and he just about living your lives and enjoying your lives and doing the right things, and in the Gray's image and how he lived his life, and it was good. I mean, for him to come all the way down from Richmond to do that, we really appreciate that. He's a good man, just retired, which is nice. So he's trying to play a little bit more golf as well. So, but he's a good guy. Always been part of our program. It was nice to bring back some good memories of Gray.
I would have to think and thank God that I have not experienced this, and I pray that I never do. But it's always been said that there's no pain like the pain of losing a child.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that staying connected and coming down here and doing this every year would have to be good therapy for him.
I hope so. I know it's tougher for his wife, but for him, he enjoys it. He enjoys the fact that that Gray was here, and the fact that he relived some great memories with, and some other former people were around as well that he knew, and just having the familiarity of the coaches and seeing things again. Sometimes it brings up, pulls off a scab maybe a little bit, but for him, he sees it as a picture of Gray would have been 32, 33 right now. What would he be? And that's the saddest thing for him. Can't have grandkids now. That's the kind of only things that he kind of worries about, or just plays on his mind. Everything else was so positive, and he is a positive guy. I mean, and you're right. I mean, having that over your head must be awful, but the messages he sends and the outlook he has and on life and that, and is just an amazing thing for him. But he still loves the place. He's great. His messages to me, the fact that he comes back and supports us and keeps in touch with everyone is just a great thing. More of a man than I would be. I just can't imagine doing that, if it ever happened, like you said. But and you pray it doesn't happen. But he's a good man, and I just wish our guys had won the game for him. but that wasn't the point. He came over and talked to the guys again and gave us perspective.
You mentioned the shutout of VMI. How big was that? Not only coming off the Gardner Webb game, but not having Dylan Rowe and Cam Robinson playing some of your two solid backline defenders.
Two very experienced guys. Hopefully we get them back. Dylan trained this morning. Cam didn't train yesterday, so hopefully getting those guys back would be nice, because they are definitely a piece of the puzzle in our makeup of the defense. But no excuses. We shouldn't give up those goals. But to get that shutout was good, and we played a lot of players. Some guys saw their first playing time in college soccer, which was nice. And we combined the goalkeepers as well. Again, we had 27, 28 shots. So it's exciting stuff. We're going forward well, and my assistants are arguing who's winning the offensive or the defensive guys. So
that's good stuff, right?
And I'm
there.
like, yeah, well, you don't give up 5 goals. I don't think we've ever given up 5 goals.
Sure.
But to come back, the last 2 games we scored 4 at each game. So something's happening, and different guys are scoring as well, which is nice. So it is nice to start the conference off and get 3 points in the conference. That was essential.
I guess the most important thing when you have a game like Gardner Webb is being able to diagnose why it happened and take the corrective steps. I mean, it's not – you're pretty sure you understand what happened and you can take corrective steps, right?
We watched a lot of film.
Yeah.
I mean, Monday, because it was Tuesday. The days are flying by. Monday, it was an hour and a half of film with the guys in the locker room, and it wasn't just one guy. It was a team effort that lost that game. And, I mean, a lot can be blamed on a mistake by our captain at the very end for the last goal, but those other goals. And there was a lot of team stuff that our chemistry wasn't there. So I told him, I said, we don't have to reinvent our wheel. I mean, our formula's still there. We just got to get back to it. And we got to work harder at being back to it, more compact and more aggressive, and not taking teams lightly and that kind of thing. But it was a good time for us to go back to the drawing board a little bit here. And get a reality check that there's no easy games. In men's soccer, there's no easy games.
You play a tough opponent on Saturday at UNC Greensboro. Can you talk about what you're going to see from the Spartans?
They're always tough. I think they just tied ETSU in their last game. And it's always been a big rivalry since I've been here in the conference, since they've come in. They got a good field to play on. It's going to be a good game. It always is. They always try and play. But they're very athletic. But it'll be a good game. And it's always tough in our league, particularly at the end of this year, because we play each other twice. And that is really tough. But, they're a bit of a rival. Obviously, we come backwards and forwards with them each year. And it's usually a fairly aggressive game. But I'm looking forward to I really look forward to playing them, because they're a tough opponent.
Yeah, and by the time we talk to you again, you'll have not only played them, but you'll be back at Stone Stadium on Tuesday night of next week with Mercer at 7 o'clock. So you'll have another opportunity for the fans, a rare opportunity for the fans to see you play
we're getting
at
into
home.
more games now at home as well. Which, by the way, the crowd was huge the other night. It was a huge crowd. And then we had the United FC night as well, which is a ton of kids in the in the area. So them seeing Connor Hubbard start, being one of their own, was really nice. That was a big cheer. When they announced, that was his first start in college soccer, and actually that was the club he came from.
Oh wow!
So for there's a couple of thousand kids there, they're cheering him on, and he did everything but score. He was trying so hard, even that very last second when the ball came across, and then I think he hit the bar as well on a header. And he's playing really well right now.
You have two forwards that have put up 4 goals, then 2 defenders. How kind of big is that? Kind of spread your offense around like that?
Well, the defenders are getting them from penalty kicks, and the forwards are reminding them that that's happening. They're not earning their goals; they're getting the penalty kicks, and the defenders are bigger than them, so they push them out of the way and say, "We're taking the penalty kicks."
There you go.
I think we should get assists for the guys who get the penalty kick.
I think you're right about that.
I think we should ask Kasky. That should be a trivia question this week, as you struggled last week with my trivia question.
No doubt about that.
Let's just go ahead and segue right into that.
I've been waiting for this.
Because I know you have. I know you have, and we did not give away the answer. We haven't given away the answer yet. We talked about it some, I think, yesterday, and intimated perhaps what the answer was when you kept talking about we were very close to the answer. I'm going to give myself credit for this. I didn't have the name, but I had the circumstance. The catcher with the Red Stockings that was the first guy, but that guy's name was
Doug Allison.
Doug Allison.
Oh man!
Seriously, still upsets Clint Hill, who I've seen this morning because he's here for a golf tournament for I think basketball or baseball, but he's back, and I reminded him of that. So he's like, stop it. But yeah, it was Doug Allison, which upsets a lot of people.
Yeah, 1870. It's believed that he was the first player to use a glove.
Yeah.
And it was a homemade contraption with padding in it because he had an injured left hand.
And I've aged well, but but it was kind of sore. But I moved over to cricket and tried to help them out as well. But that upsets a lot of people over here. That it's Doug Allison's because I have no idea about baseball.
To be 150, 160 years old, you don't look a day over 70.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah.
But that was good. The cryptic clue. I mean, you had walked out the door, and I told Forrest, I said,
and you're googling straight away. I could tell. I was like,
exactly.
There were sparks flying from the.
And before I said anything, I just literally laughed out loud. I said, okay, he got us on that one. But Doug Allison invented the baseball glove.
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine Clint just hates that.
It's rolling over.
Yeah, he doesn't like that, and I don't think Mike Buddy will like it either. I don't know if he knows it yet.
Oh man,
we need to tell Mike.
I think you should.
Yeah, I got to pick the right time to talk to Mike.
Don't do it on contract negotiations.
No.
All right. Anything else that we need to know before we say goodbye?
No. Thanks again for having me. Appreciate it. Hopefully, start doing some things good in the conference. That's all we have right now for the rest of the regular season.
And, if I can find a soccer trivia question that's got my name attached to it, I'm going to search.
Yeah.
I'm going to search.
Yeah.
Of course, I just gave away the answer, didn't I?
You get yourself a question. I'm be really curious, but give me a few days to figure it out because I know you're going to pick a tough one, but it's good. That rivalry's good. I think I'm 1-0 right now.
I'd say so.
Oh yeah, you definitely are.
Yeah.
I'll admit it. You got me on that one. That was good.
What's your sport?
Baseball.
Is baseball too?
Baseball, yeah. Baseball and basketball.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you got 2 for the price of 1 on that.
Yeah,
one.
big time.
Yeah, because none of you knew.
No,
Spalding.
Yeah, I didn't even know the catcher was the first one out, and I was the catcher.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that was even a double down on me. So.
Well, glad I could enlighten you guys.
You kind of think that part of it would be logical.
Pastime.
Yeah,
that's right.
That
would have been logical.
Yeah, but anyway. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Doug.
Appreciate it.
That's going to wrap it up for us, and we'll be back with you tomorrow. Jay Sandos, the play-by-play voice of East Tennessee State, will be our guest tomorrow as we continue to preview that matchup. Until then, for Forrest, for Coach Allison, and for all of our guests today, Billy Davis, Drew Cronic, Chad Staggs, I'm Dan Scott saying God bless you, and so long, everybody.